Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers.
Greetings, everyone. I am Calypso, and welcome to another episode of Deadhaus Whispers. And like always, I am joined by my usual other host, Faceless Mike.
Greetings, hello, and welcome. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. And actually, it's been Pruin, the month of frost. 11 days, 221 years.
Worth it.
Worth it.
And we get the
That is how
housekeeping.
we start.
Yes, and we'll get some housekeeping out of the way as we get started up and get everything settled because, ooh, Kitty.
Yes, hello, Gil.
It's a chunker. Wow.
Yeah, she's a big kitty.
Get the housekeeping out of the way so we get up and running because I'll still be working a lot of stuff on the back end. Don't forget, depending on how or where or when you were watching this, you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Deadhaus Whispers. We also have a Twitter or X or whatever the kids are calling it these days is at Deadhaus Whisper. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Deadhaus Whispers, of course. And now that YouTube has updated everything for all the timely ways of its working, you can subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@Deadhaus Whispers, which works really well. You can also follow Calypso on Twitter at the Necro Libreatus, which again, very few people can say. You can follow myself.
I still can't say it.
You can follow myself at the Faceless Mike. And for everything else Deadhaus related official, you can check out deadhaussonata.com. That will link you to everything. By the way, join the Discord. I'm watching. And also, don't forget to follow them over on Twitter at Deadhaus Game. They're across all social media, but you can find everything there you need at deadhaussonata.com. Hey, see? I put it.
Yeah, we did it. We should really. I'm just going to ask George if he can record all that crap for us in his Alaric voice to make it way easier. George, please do it for free. I'll pay you like $5.
You get it done as one of those what do you call it on the Fiverr, or what's the celebrity thing? Cameo, yeah, get a cameo.
Oh, is it cameo, yeah.
Hey George, I'll pay you for a cameo. Can you read this?
Yeah. Just
we
read
love
it, George.
that guy. He's an absolute
you
legend.
can plug yourself also, George. That's fine too. Yes, and then we start this episode. I actually really like how this episode starts because it sort of skips over, and even Alaric is sort of tired of.
Okay, so to give everyone a bit of intro onto this Calypso, it's like we are going to go over the radio play. The most recent radio play as of recording. It's called The Gambit. Apparently, The Gambit paid off. Now, if you have not listened to the radio play, you can pause this, go listen to it, and then come back and we can discuss it, okay? No harm, no foul, no offense intended. But yeah, otherwise, Calypso, lead up.
Yes, so this episode starts off with...
the month of frost. 11 days, 221 years after... After what? What is Deadhaus? What is death? Is it a state of being? Not a binary state, for while one may be living or dead, so too may they be undead, which seems to be neither. Perhaps it is a path along which many wander. With what I have now seen...
Which is great. And then you go into this heavy, like, deep... philosophical talk of what is life and what is death and what does it mean to be in Deadhaus and what does it mean to be a vampire, just all these philosophical things right off the bat, which I love. I just love that you start off with just like a really heavy sort of deep thinking moment, because this episode, although it's a huge lore dump, is also just full of that. I have a feeling every single time our Lich friend is on screen or there's a Lich episode, we just get into the semantics and philosophy of Deadhaus, which is always great. So we have what is Deadhaus? What is death? Is it a state of being? Undead philosophy talk is what I have in my notes.
It's a state of mind, man.
Yeah, it's a state of mind, man. Deadhaus. And then Alaric, and then we get into that, and he briefly goes over him being talked to by the angels in the prophecies and what the blood does. And Alaric talks about being the blood being controlled by Elsa Bayoth, and he's worried about the blood influencing him when he's under that control, as it clearly takes over his entire being. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode. And he flits, and we come back to the Lich's circle, and everything is ruined. The Lich is torn into pieces, and he's like, oh, gee, wow, he's dead, finally. Well, that takes care of that. All that problem solved.
The one bit of that is the banter.
Yes. Oh, no, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. And then Alaric sees the Lich's dead head on the floor, smiling, grinning up at him. And then we figure out that the Lich is actually still alive. And his we have the talking head cartoon moment with the Lich this whole episode. Like the entire time this episode was going on, I pictured Alaric like either just looking over down to the head, carrying the head, or when eventually he places the head in a circle for this ritual. We'll get to that in a second. And I can just imagine the head. I know it can't move, but I just imagine the head like slowly moving and giving Alaric directions of what to do. And also the only reason why the Lich is still alive is because the last phylactery. Oh, yes. That's right. Liches run on phylacteries, and Alaric, as it turns out, what a twist, is the final phylactery that the Lich has used.
Granted 2 years ago, but called it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't picture that and imagine that being a thing. I think because it comes off as, that's too easy to figure out. Yeah, it was. That's crazy, right?
In chronological order, it is almost one of the first. It's not the first, but it's almost one of the first ones where he meets the Lich in the Sunken Woods. And then that's when you realize that, you're like, oh, but Alaric has been getting in a lot of trouble. It's like, but he's miraculously always survived. Yeah, by the divine hand of Joey Sorless. of Amarak saving his butt many times. I love Joey. Joey should just be like a background character to absolutely everything going on all the time.
That binding led it to where the other fragments lay hidden.
Your phylacteries, but not the sixth. Why?
Because that fragment of my soul is intertwined with another. The Wraith did not recognize it.
Another? Suddenly, the circle vanished from my sight, and I stood in total darkness. A pair of blue-green lamps ignited from the black, illuminating the face of the Lich as I remembered it.
Yes, Alaric. Another.
You cannot mean...
I suppose I should offer you my thanks.
I did not agree to this!
Your consent was not a component of the spell.
It's just awesome.
I would love in-game, we'll talk about a game mechanic, I guess. I would love in-game that when you're playing a Lich or when you're going over Lichy ritualistic things, as sort of a hint to players, if they can't figure it out, have Joey pipe in and give them directions.
That'd be really cool, actually. Having
like sort of a hint, an organic hint system that you can, but without being like cheeky.
Where you can contact a spirit or like one of your like NPC characters, like again, like Amarax or you wouldn't be Nagaztak, but like Zorn or something that's affiliated with you, that you could like kind of channel them somehow with their crystal, whatever MacGuffin is used, and they could actually give you the hints on what to do. It's like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
Okay, turn it that direction and put that crystal over there and get those 6 tongues.
Like if you opt to just give up on like solving a puzzle, then you can have, a walkthrough of it with the Lich, with Joey giving you all the tutorial bits, that'd be sweet. So to get back on track is Alaric and the Lich get into a bit of an argument about secrets and what it is to know about being Liches, because Alaric is upset that he is in fact the last phylactery the Lich has. And then the Lich retorts with, there are things that I don't know about you. There's holes in your memory or your visions that I just can't see. And what he's referring to there is when he's being taken over or talking with the Prophet of El Sabaoth, one of the angels, one of the messengers. Yeah, that the Lich can't see. So they're both sort of at an impasse of what are secrets? Why are you telling me these things? Why didn't you tell me these things? and to all good reason, I suppose.
Strange gaps in your memories that I can neither account for nor access. It's almost as if I'm being blocked from them by magic. But you don't know how to do that.
Still, I said nothing.
I know the mark of Empyrean. You are out of your depth, fledgling. But I could help you.
I love it when he points in. I recognize the mark of Imperium, because he's basically telling Alaric, he's like, "There's parts of your memory I can't see. I know what you're doing." He literally straight up tells him, "I know what you're doing. I recognize the mark of Imperium." Like, that's what I loved. Continue.
Lich phylacteries. The Wraith destroyed the others and shred them into bits because the Wraith bonded one of the phylacteries to itself and was able to find the other phylacteries and destroy the rest of them, I think, is how that part
Wraith
goes.
Is an essential based creature, right? So it can use essence, so soul, right? You've got body or blood, magic, soul, right? So if it's like that, he was able to take a piece of Amarax as he was torturing them, because they are fractured beings, and through taking a piece of him, he could find the others. Now, the reason he couldn't find what was going on with Alaric is because they were mixed together. So Amarax was using Alaric as it, but the Wraith couldn't recognize it. It's basically the sniffer dog equivalent of, when in the airports they stick the drugs in the coffee. The vampire smell was overpowering the very, very subtle lich smell. So he couldn't quite figure that out, but think more in a magical sense where he was drawn to it. Because you'll find out later, Alaric's kind of got some stuff going on himself. He seems to have an awful lot of magic in his blood for a vampire. They have magic in their blood, but he can't.
Multiple times.
An awful lot of blood. You have an awful lot of magic in your blood. You shouldn't have this much magic in your blood.
They get into an argument. They talk about controlling and blah, blah, blah. There's more babble about philosophies. And then we get into our ritual. And I don't remember when the line is or what specifically part it is. I didn't write it down. But there's a part where I think Alaric, they're talking about the ritual before we get into it. And Alaric is like, "Oh, why couldn't you just do this ritual yourself?" And the Lich is like, "Oh, pardon me. I was busy getting torn apart by a bunch of chains."
Sorry, it's like, "Pardon me. I was busy being torn apart by many chains." It's like, the sass, the Lich sass in this is brilliant. And then later on, we'll get to Alaric being a smartass as well. The banter back and forth between these two is incredible. I love it.
It's so good. I chuckled multiple times throughout this episode. And then we get into it, and the Lich sort of starts to go over it. 9 pillars, 9 realms, aspects, states, words and names carry more than one meaning. Malorm is the twisted mother. Her children are the pillars. Even the smallest shard of like soul or whatever you have of each of the child bodies, the pillars' bodies, can generate immense power. And there's a lot more here. Like, it's just too much to really get into. I really suggest.
I know Varric's been chewing on that. Varric's been chewing on that bone for weeks. And just to add,
Liches do not enjoy speed running.
Confirmed. Liches do neither speed nor run. So I can't guarantee you.
They get into it, and they're talking about, they're talking about like the stones and the spiders or whatever. And then Alaric gets a little sassy himself, and he mentions the clatter-clack.
It was a giant spider, or at the very least, you could have warned me of the clatter-clack.
The what?
That damnable creature in the writhing dark. I felt a shifting within my mind, like cold fingers running behind my eyes.
That is a nameless worm.
The ghouls said it was a clatter-clack.
The ghouls live in a hole coated in vomit.
It's
so
so
those
good,
things are
man.
those things are barely sentient. The ghouls, they're barely sentient. As he goes before, it's like the ghouls called it the clatter-clack. The ghouls live in a mound made of their own vomit.
And so this ritual starts. This ritual starts with there's 9 circles on the ground, and I wish I would have had drawn a diagram, but even then I thought I would have gotten it wrong anyway. So there's 9 circles on the ground. You have 1 in the center, you have 2 on the top, or you have 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and then 3 on the left and the right, I believe. Initially, when I was just sort of spacing out listening to this, I thought it was the actual, just the pillar. You have the 1 in the center, and then you have the 4 on the left and the right, like Legacy of Kain. Okay, but the diagram in the episode is center, top, bottom, left, right, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. And for this ritual, you always begin on the left side because the left side is chaos and the right side is law and order. Oh, I just love chaos and order. And then the first is the abyssal aspect of Sasan Raj. And within that circle, you need a bunch of eyes specifically facing downward. And then once you do that for this, then the symbol of Sasan Raj happens, crazy stuff, and then that circle is complete. And then you continue on the right side of order. And then that is the celestial aspect, the top right side, not the center, just the top right. You have the domain of the all-fire, El Sabaoth, and you need a heart. And there's this little riddle and meaning of a heart and why the heart and the eyes go for this, and the heart is in the center because it has something to do with the sun and yada yada. It's this whole philosophical thing. It's a lot to take in. I still don't get it. But then you put the heart in there and then turns into flames and you get the sign of El Sabaoth, and then you go to the left again. I just
quickly pulled this up, so this will give a better explanation here. So you've got the circle in the middle, and then you've got the top, bottom, left, right, and then the diagonals. So it's almost like a strange clock for a ritual. And can you remember what this is called?
I cannot remember. I didn't write it down.
Nonary conflux.
Okay, a nonary conflux.
It's a type of ritual which is not unique to Deadhaus, but it will not be unique to other ones. But you're going to get to that in a little bit. Go on.
Yes, the nonary, the nonary conflux. Jeez Louise. Turned heart, flame. Then we have the necrotic aspect. Death is the domain of the Weaver, to quote Amarax Alalmat. And this is the Deadhaus circle. Did I get it right or wrong? Alalmat?
Alalmat, yep. Why is it showing me on large? That's in strange orders right there.
I don't know.
There we go. We can get them back here and we get it back here. There we go. That's back to normal.
Okay.
Getting a bit rusty with the old restream.
Then we have the necrotic aspect. Death is the domain of the Weaver, Alalmat. The Lich, this is my favorite one. The Lich's head goes into the circle of this one. And Alaric sees a brief image of red hair and pale skin when he does this. And then a spoof of green smoke or fire or whatever. And then that circle is complete. And then from this point onward, I constantly just imagine the Lich's head moving around, giving him orders in the circle. And then from death comes rebirth, and all this even more philosophical talk. You'll
get there. We'll
get there. Then we move on to Islarith. Another head goes into this circle. Yes, madness personified. I don't even know what order of these in the circles they're going in anymore.
Oh, this is where the fun part, where everyone got confused, because we start at 2 over here, and then we move to the next one, and then the next one, and then we start going down, and then we go diagonally, and then we start moving it around, just to make sure it's not too easy for everyone. And I know it's tripping a lot of people up, because if it's going to trip Varric, the rest of you are going to trip.
Yeah. I would love for Jack or Dennis to actually give us a diagram explanation on paper of this. You know, I would love that.
Sure, we could
please, for the love of God, do it. Sure, we can. So then we get Islarith. A head goes into the circle. The brain is needed. So I think that right there is an interesting detail that I just noticed upon going over this. Is that in the Deadhaus circle, you have a head of the Lich, and I'm guessing the head needs to be part of the undead for this ritual to work, or at
for
least
this
some
one
sort of
it
version of
is
it?
it is ahead of the undead, but you'll see later when we
Yes.
find out what it was for that there's a reason why it is that, because remember Amarax points out that like needs to like, and the things that are
that's
representative
right.
of the houses need to have many things in common with it, which is why the abyssal
Yeah.
aspect is
So we
6
have
eyes facing down so they cannot see. So it has many eyes but cannot see. Think about that. And then there's another funny one, but I'll wait till you get to that before we talk about that to give a better example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lich's
head goes in a circle. The brain needs to be intact. Then the red eye appears of Islarith, the dreaming. And we get into a really cool detail that I think that I actually really love about the Islarith circle and the head, because throughout each of these circles, I'm glossing over all of this, but throughout each of these circles, the Lich is giving a really good, detailed explanation of specifically why it needs to be in this circle and what its purpose is and what the effect is and what the meaning is of this house, right? So for Islarith, the head, the eyes, then the red eye appears, and he goes over the dreaming and dreams and the undead. And
hold
then
on, I think you got that wrong. The head bit was for us here, because we'll run through a little bit of it. The head had to
there
be
we go.
Amarax.
See, there is.
I was like, this sounded a little bit off a little, but yeah.
Well, no, and then go to Islarith. It's like an undead. It's a dead head, but its brain is intact, is what it is.
For Islarith's one, yeah, we've got here.
Yeah, and then there we go.
This has to be one with its brain. Yeah, with its brain intact. No, you confused me because when you mentioned Amarax's head, I'm like, no, wait, that's for Deadhaus.
Oh no,
but it needed to be
so there's that one. There's that one, and then Amarax goes over like if you dream enough, then they become real, and nightmares become real and become awake or whatever, and then that's like the awakened. Like obviously that's a terrible explanation, but it's sort of like dreams manifest themselves into reality, and nightmares in my brain seem to be the strongest, and that's why the awakened are like creepy tentacle monsters.
Didn't he make a comment about the eye following him as well?
Oh yes, the eyes, the eye of the circle and the symbol starts to follow him, and it's really creepy, and it's so good. Then we move on to the path of flesh, as above, so below. Second from the lost my place. Second from the bottom on the right, the arcane. A brain goes in the circle, but he has to make a square out of the brain, and it has to be flat. So he's making a diagram out of the brain. There's no screw ups.
Flat brain, not
flatten
smooth
out a
brain.
Yeah,
it is brain. Flat brain,
big brain.
Not smooth brain. A square brain. Yep.
And I love that. That's so Legacy of Kain feeling to me. That's Napraptor's brain in that circle in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I? Okay. Then we move on to Chaos again is next. Oh yeah. So we start off with Chaos and then Order, and then it moves on to other meanings or aspects. But I guess they all represent one side is Chaos and one side is Order. Or is it only the ones, the top left and right, that are Chaos and Order? I don't know.
Chaos, right is Order.
Left is Chaos, right is Order. Okay. So moving to Chaos again next on the left, and this one's cool. The unknown, the nameless. Tongues go in this circle because they are nameless, and they're ripped out. You do not speak of it. It is unknown, it is nameless. And this magic, I think even this sort of magic, chaos magic, or the unknown, the nameless, even the Lich, even Amarax or other Liches don't use this magic unless it's absolutely necessary. It's like super forbidden or something, or they avoid it all costs.
It's not, I don't know whether it's dangerous. I think or that it's forbidden. I think it's more that it's dangerous.
That could be.
Did you get this? Did you get the hint about the nameless? Do you know why there's two tongues?
Speak no evil.
There's 2 points to this. One, it is double speak, so two tongues is in double mouth, so liar. But number two,
Oh, that's such a
You've
good
got
detail.
this scenario. Remember, everything in the world has a name and then a true name.
That's such a good detail. That's such a good detail that you pointed it out. Oh my god!
It's almost like there's been a lot of thought put into these.
Yeah,
it's not just random.
Then we move on to the
there.
bottom
Your worst nightmare. Yep.
Yeah, your literal worst nightmare. Then we move on to bottom left. See, it's weird. I don't know why I wrote out some of them and didn't the others. Bottom left, temporal aspect. 2 hands go into this circle, and I forgot what the symbol is for that one. No, the wave is Woe-Row.
Yeah. Did I go too far?
Tlacmaclex. We don't get it to
Tlacmaclex.
Yeah, there we go. There's the 2 hands. Oh, that's cool. You got the oh wow. I didn't realize the infinity symbol was there.
And do you know why?
See, these little details like
what
this.
What did it say?
I do temporal.
Meaning?
No, I'm meaning beyond states.
As in
right?
beyond time.
Ah, yes.
Remember when he described them?
So good too.
He said they will be along in time. And then, as Mortis pointed it out there, but we were all joking about before, remember 2 hands, a clock, time.
Oh. Dude, my mind is being blown multiple times this episode.
But there's also the thing of, that's how you make time, is with your hands.
That's true.
There's many things. If it only had one meaning, it would be pointless and it would require dramatically more magic, as Amarax mentions at the start of the episode. So like being to like, it needs to have a strong resonance with those things. And then the next one, as you said, was the wave.
And the next one is, at the end is Woe-Row. They are only Woe-Row. They are their own realm. At the end is Woe-Row. They are their own realm. They are many and one at the same time. It's the alchemical aspect, change. You need blood for the circle, and Alaric uses his own blood. There's a really neat little detail where he's like, "Oh, my blood shies away from wounds," and then the Lich actually helps him bleed by stopping that for a second.
Yep.
He has loads of magic, according to the Lich, in his blood. For a new vampire like him, it is very odd that he has so in this, and then there's the wave, because waves,
blood wave,
something. I'm sure. I know waves are symbolic of like.
It's meant to be the alchemical form of change, that things are constantly in change.
Got it. I got.
And the vampire's blood would be a great example, because it is always change. It is a curse. It is cursed. It is food and sustenance and energy. It's a constant, permanent transformation for a vampire.
Oh man, this is so deep. This is so deep. We need
this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. The game hasn't even begun yet.
Dude. Oh. And then before, boom, that's it. All the circles are filled. Ta-da, you did it, right? You think. No. Before the circle is filled, you must connect the circle with bones.
Waves from
and
10.
It's super complex.
Waves equal emotion, the ever-changing progress of time. Yep.
That's a good one,
And then
too.
the next one, we get Malorum herself.
Yes.
Who's going to require something
mother
else.
Hands clasping. The lines, he has to make it out of bones. He has to make the circle out of bones to connect the circles. The lines must arc, no straight lines. I'm sure bones have a meaning in there, but I didn't write it down. Magic is meaning made manifest. Oh, maybe I did.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Magic is meaning made manifest, like flows to like. Analogical talismans is each of the circles and the bones.
Now you're getting it.
There we go. They talk about. They talk about the meanings and semantics of all of these things. Before the last circle is filled, they need a lantern, and in that lantern, they need the Will-O-Wisp, who has wisped away. And they have to go track the Will-O-Wisp.
This is some of my favorite bit, to be honest with you.
Oh no, I love it. So they're looking for the Will-O-Wisp, and there's so much, like, we're skipping over the banter. I'm sure it was earlier in this episode, or it might be now. But there's parts where Alaric is just sassy and pissed, and he's like, "Oh, maybe you would have told me all this earlier before, you sent me into a cave with a bunch of giant worms. Or maybe if my hands didn't get bitten off again. Or maybe if
no, that was the bit he says,
blah,
my
blah,
hand,
blah.
I'd be able to work faster if I had both my hands. He's like, oh, wait, hold on, I can fix that." And he basically forces him into mist form and back into Alaric form. And he has a hand again. He's just like, is that how you reform?
Yay.
And that's when he says, you could have at least told me there was
to chase
the worm. Grumpy Alaric needs a Snickers.
Grumpy Alaric needs a Snickers. Then they run to catch the Will-O-Wisp and...
Anything like this?
I don't. It's reflex, remember?
It's disorienting.
Oh? I thought, coming to a halt? Can't your magic help you see?
I wouldn't.
I bolted forward mid-thought, which cut the Lich's verge short, then came to an abrupt stop some distance away. What was that?
I said, there's no...
Again, I sprang from the snow, soundless, swifter than shadow.
Oh gosh, the comedy is so real. It's so good. And then they arrive at a tree. They're at a giant tree because will-o-wisps are attracted to specific trees or magical trees or something because of the
magical resonance
of nature and earth, and they get resonance from it. So he tries to catch the will-o-wisp, and there's another funny bits where he's like, "Oh, I'm chasing it." And he's like, "You can't chase it, dude. It's a will-o-wisp."
He just
like not even vampire speed
at it
gets a
and
will-o-wisp.
He jumps at the will-o-wisp, but it just like transports somewhere else because it's an essential being, so it can just literally teleport out of the way. And Alaric cracks into the tree. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me it could teleport?" He said, "Because I didn't think you would jump at it like an animal." Like
And then he casts Ard and he does a shockwave attack.
And then he's like, "Stop! You need to do this." He's like, "Well, explain it to me." And Amarak starts going on. He's like, "I feel another blast coming on." That was one of the best.
And then we get... Oh no, I love the fur, and then like he throws the hand. It's really great. Alaric with blood ducts circling his head like a cartoon. Yeah, when he bonks.
If this was a Saturday morning cartoon, that is totally what would have happened.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to get some art of Alaric just going like Looney Tunes. Then we get one of my favorite bits, like legitimately one of my favorite bits from this episode. I don't know if Dennis got this idea. This is an old theater ritual practice for everybody who has ever done any acting in their lives or yoga stuff. Like there's that whole thing to it. It's the tree meditation ritual. In order to catch this will-o-wisp properly, because they are drawn to trees for like spiritual nature and groundedness and stuff, Alaric does the tree meditation ritual where you dig your feet into the ground, lift your arms up really high, and then in acting and theater, you stretch and you try to really feel yourself grounded. And in yoga, it's sort of the same thing. You want to move your body and get all your muscles connected. It's a loosening thing and a connection thing with your body. To not be super nerdy about it. And then the Lich is like, you have to pretend to be a tree. Yeah, dig deep, drink water, and then repeat it. And as he's doing this, and this is so cool, as he's doing this, he sort of feels himself actually really getting into it. He starts to slow down and move incredibly slow, and his mind starts to like feel different, and he sort of becomes relaxed, I say, or in a meditation ritual, in a sense of calm and oneness and relaxing with the earth, right? It's really great. And then as the will-o-wisp starts to come towards him, yes, he's literally grounding himself. And then as the will-o-wisp starts to come toward him, he has to catch the wisp in the cage, right? In the freaking dark metal cave, whatever the magic metal is, in the cave. And while he's doing that, he's moving incredibly slowly. It's almost like he's not going to do it. But the wisp just sort of goes into the cage, and he closes it. They catch the wisp, starts to flicker, like, "What are you doing? I don't want to be in this cage." And then now that he's caught the wisp, he moves his hand and he notices that a leaf has grown out from under one of his fingernails. As he was literally doing this ritual, he was turning into a freaking tree. It's so good. It's my other favorite moment, apart from when he's first become a vampire and he's looking at the deer in the earlier episodes, and he drinks from the deer and he feels sort of one with nature after having drunk the deer blood, and it's so good. Like that sense of serene
with the forest.
calm.
The forest was his home,
Would Alaric have died if he had continued the tree transformation, eventually just becoming a tree? I don't think so. I think he would have just lived as a tree and been one with the earth.
I don't think any of that. I'm fairly certain Amarax needed him to do this, and it was Amarax doing all the magic bit. That's
reconnected with nature, building instinctual reflexes. Yeah, grounding is fucking awesome.
There we go.
Yeah, gosh, I should do.
I'm fairly certain it was lich magic and ritual stuff being done through Alaric, because keep in mind, during this entire process, Amarax doesn't have a physical body, so he's acting through Alaric, and he is Alaric. For all intents and purposes, he is inside him. He is him. He is possessing him as another spirit.
That's right. Because Alaric is a phylactery, he is connected to.
It's almost like the ghouls know how to count, because when the others were talking rubbish and thinking the ghouls were stupid, and the ghouls turned to Alaric saying, "We are too, like you." Mm-hmm. They knew. They could smell it. They could see it.
Yeah,
they could smell it. Just because Alaric didn't understand it doesn't mean that
Alaric doesn't know jack about magic yet, too. That's good, something to point out. But then again, I think now here's the thing. Is it because, that's a question, is it because he was able to do these things of his phylactery and his connection to the lich, or is it because he has an unusual amount of magic in his blood?
A bit of both. A lot of his things, like his telekinetic blast and whatnot, are more reflex, the same way as turning into the mist form. It was reflex. This was intentional magic. But then again, Alaric would still need a certain level of magic for the lich to do that, because it is within.
True.
When a lich, like when they rebuild their own body and they possess it again and make other phylacteries, they'll need to charge up again. They're not inherently like exploding with magic. It's like a vampire. It doesn't magically have an infinite supply of blood. They need to charge up again. They need to refuel, so to speak.
What if Alaric is the chosen one?
I doubt that.
No, God, please don't. Please don't. I'm only kidding. There's no chosen one here. Jeez.
If there's anything like that, they're all the ascendants, and I would be more worried they're more likely to be gods and demigods from Elden Ring than they are for you to be the Dragonborn.
Yeah. Alaric Fusro Daz, the next guy. Puts the Alaric, then they rush back to the circle, because I am confused about this part. Once they get the wisp, once they get the wisp, the lich is very adamant on getting back to the circle because of the wraiths. Have the wraiths caught up to them now during this ritual, or is it
they don't know?
The lich is worried.
So the way it plays out is the wraith think he's dead. They think he's destroyed. They don't know he's still around. But with the use of all this magic, it's kind of like ringing a little bell to a cat. It's like suddenly, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
This is where they watch. This is where they watch. So he says, when the shadows get long, we're in danger. It's because it's not because night is falling. You see, that's how they transport. Because down below in the depths, the shadow in the crack in the wall thing, there was a shadow cast on the ground, and it grew longer and longer, and then out of this just manifested a wraith. So it's like, yeah, we need to get out of here, because like I could fight them off for a little bit and delay this scenario. You're in trouble, and I'm not losing my last phylactery.
That's the thing. You bring up a really good point. It's Alaric's magic is instinctual almost. Who's to say that because Alaric has an unusual amount of magic in his bloodstream, I'm forever going to point that out, that his instincts wouldn't take over. He would magic boss his way to kicking all of these wraiths' butts. You know,
there's a lot of them, and if you wipe out a few, they'll send more.
Well, never mind then.
And more and more.
That's true.
And then you don't want the entire weight of Deadhaus falling on your head.
Also true.
So yeah, we'll see.
So they get back to the circle.
Yeah.
They get back to the circle. He puts the soul prism, the thing he got from the last episode, into the center circle. And then we hear quick sounds of the spider that he got the child of that pillar essentially manifest. He hears the sound of the spider for a second and begins to hear sounds of the crucibles. And this is a cool detail. The soul prism, when he links in the circle and the glowy lights and stuff starts to happen, he hears the sound of the crucibles, the white's cages opening and closing. It gets louder and louder and louder, an echo in his mind or whatever. And then the circle of Alalmat, the one where the Lich's head is encased in, starts to expand and take over the other circles. So it sort of absorbs those other bits, and it expands into a black hole, into reality. Doesn't know what it is, doesn't know where it goes, and then Alaric falls into the next episode. And then that's it. That's our episode. That's it. There's a lot here, but yeah.
I'll allow you to begin chewing on that one, because that is quite a lot to go through. My key takeaway from the episode, lore aside, obviously, because there's a mountain of lore to chew on, especially in regards to they share the aspects of each one of the houses and magic. I just love the banter back and forth with Alaric and Amarix.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just.
But where does he go? He goes into the next episode. Where do you think?
Away. He fell through a portal into the next episode.
Yeah, he fell through a portal into the next episode, guys.
How very Deadpool, fourth wall, Calypso.
Oh, absolutely. Oh man, oh gosh, George, please make a joke track of the next episode and be like, 5 minutes after the last episode, I fell into a hole. Here I am.
Here for X amount of days.
It's been how many months since the last episode?
How long have I been falling? But
oh man, I've been falling for 30 minutes.
So what was your good takeaways then from it?
I love the banter, but I also really love, as complicated as it is, like I don't think I could listen to this episode a million times and I'll still really get it, because big monkey brain just doesn't understand. But I actually really love the explanation of why each item goes into these circles and like the meaning of it and the meaning of the circle,
the analogies,
and I love the little bits. Yeah, I love the little bit of the Islarith and the dreams, man. I love that bit. And I love the Will-O-Wisp. I want a little Will-O-Wisp companion. And I know I already told that to Dennis, so make it happen. Come on.
I'm sure you could do that.
But I do love the banter. Yeah.
Where is it?
There we go. Yeah.
30 minutes of Alaric falling.
Yeah. Oh, man. Got to make that into a loop.
Where is it? We have him here. I think I went too far. I needed this bit here. There we go.
Yeah, there's...
Go back. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, there.
Just
you can play it. Do we got sound?
Huh? No,
we got sound on that? Oh,
no.
Oh, okay. Womp womp. Oh well. I'll put it in there anyway in post, guys. Don't worry. And then we get I do. Okay, I am a bit confused. So was he trapped? Oh wait, never mind. Why am I confused? He was trapped with the ghouls for who knows how long. So it makes sense that when he gets out and he comes back, it's snowing. Because I don't think it was snowing when he left. No. Right?
No, but God knows how long they spent underground too. Like, you know, when they went underground and they went on their journey, like, was that a day?
Who knows how long that took?
A month?
Yeah, a month?
We don't know how long they were walking.
Reflects on that.
Yeah. That was your thing at the start, wasn't it?
Yeah, the month of frost. I don't know how long I've been in here.
Where was it?
Why is it snowing outside? Crew in the month of frost, 11 days, 221 years after whatever.
After what exactly?
Yeah, after what?
There you
go. It sure wasn't Pruin yet. No.
No.
No, it wasn't. It was
Can anyone remember the months? We've them done up.
Jeez. Do I have my notes on the last episode still?
That's a good sign to go check out Varek's little project of Deadhaus Sonata's fan wiki. There we go.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Straight away, Mike, we're opening a Will-O-Wisp companion shop in Ireland. Yep. Selling them.
Yep, it's happening. Little plushies, man. Little cute plushy glow balls. I'm actually going to go to the Deadhaus wiki. I'm actually, you know what? Does that work? If I type in Deadhaus wiki, does something pull up?
Yeah, it should.
Varric, did you do your job right? Any day now, internet. Oh, wait, no, there's Deadhaus. Oh, there it is.
There you go. See?
Sound effects wiki. It's on the sound effects wiki?
No.
Is that what he used?
There's probably just a sound effects wiki on it. Hold on. I'll find it for you.
Deadhaus Sonata. In our relentless search to find the Deadhaus Sonata wiki, everyone, I hope you Google it yourself.
If you open my Discord, it's in there multiple times.
Yeah. Hold on. Google
Here
it.
you go. I'll give you the link.
Yeah. Drop me the link. I'm lazy.
There you go.
Nice.
Okay, you can go for the official lore and the database and everything. Someone who's Varric has been working very lore, hard.
Information database, a primer on lore, book of ages, manual of style. I like that. Way to go, Varric. Manual of style. Okay. A primer on lore. The section help break down the understand the lore. Yeah, let's do it.
There you go. It wasn't Celestial Spheres. It was some of the other ones. This is a shout out to Varric, who's been working very hard on that. It's deadhaus-sonata.fandom.com. I'll have to do up a little annotation for that.
The truth holds little value if it is simply given. That is very true. Wise words from our bajillion-year-old.
That is a meme that will be used frequently and regularly, as many times as we can. Man. I'm going to use that whenever I get into an argument with somebody and they can just Google it. The truth is not meaningful if you could just look it up yourself or whatever. It's a great way to get out of things. Yeah, Varric, you've been kicking ass. Props, dude. It's a way better way instead of the shouting, "Do your research." Yeah. Oh yeah. Wait. It sounds cooler too. It sounds way cooler. But yeah. Okay. So I want speculation. Where's he going next? Well, apart from going into the next episode, I think he's actually going to the planet of Deadhaus, as huge of that celestial sphere. I think he's going there because if you think about it, all the circles are planets and represent that. Mm-hmm. It's sort of shaped like the circle is sort of shaped like a solar diagram, I guess, only flat. And the sun is in the center or something. Mm-hmm. No, my God. Malorum is in the center? Yes, it is. Sorry. And then as the portal opens, the Alalmat, the Deadhaus portal, or the circle, as it's that one that takes over the rest, and then a giant floor of nothing. So why wouldn't that be the logical destination of going to the planet of Deadhaus? Yes, the origin of the species. I'm trying to find a particular one on the forum, so give me a moment. Speaking of memes, did Calypso see the tree meme? There's a tree meme? I did not see the tree meme. I'm about to share it with you. Give me a second. So Mortis decided to give quite extensive feedback on the Gambit episode on the Deadhaus forum. And he made a quick little meme, which we all giggled at.
That's good. That's good, Mortis. Way to go. Yeah, I
do
dig that.
Backing up the wrong tree.
I can hear Alec in a cranky way saying that. I am a tree now. You've made me very angry.
But what about the sound of the crucible, the soul sound? Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, man. I loved
that was on the opening up using the essence. So the essence, so that stone, the soul prism, gave out during the ritual the exact same noise as the crucible powering up, which means they're related to the same thing, powered by the same substance.
And they also glow green, which isn't a coincidence.
And if anyone is familiar with Eternal Darkness and whatnot, maybe all the colors have connections to...
Yeah, I've rambled on about that in previous episodes that you guys can all listen to. I believe it was the last episode where I just went on a tangent about Eternal Darkness. I believe it was also every other episode where I go on a tangent about Eternal Darkness. I've been replaying that on and off throughout the past couple of months. God, it is such a good game. The fact that hasn't got like a remaster, yeah, dude, it needs a Night Dive. Night Dive. We're gonna go off kilter for a second. So me and Mike are both huge fans of The Thing. Night Dive Studios, my baller company that I simp and worship that company because they just do banger work, man. Are re-releasing and remastering The Thing from the Thing video game from PS2 Xbox back in like 2002, and they've redone the lighting. I'm sure they fixed all the bugs and the engine problems. It looks like a remake with how good they've managed to spruce this thing up. It looks like a remake. It's not. It's a remaster, but holy moly. The trailer
I would smile whenever I see a trailer and I see that silly little skull in the diving bell and the tentacles. I'm like, here it is. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know it's going to be good.
It's so good. And I know they've pitched about remastering the Legacy of Kain series multiple times. They've pitched about remastering Silent Hill, the Metal Gear games, like any big thing you can think of. They've wanted to do it and I believe they could better than the other stuff that the other teams are coming out with. I think Nixus is the only other good like porting team. Maybe Blue Brain too. They're pretty good. Or Blue Point. They're good at like doing that stuff also. But yeah, man, just give Night Dive all the remasters. Give me a remaster of Legacy of Kain Eternal Darkness from Night Dive. Come on,
there are certain studios that are particularly good at when they get onto something like that. Like they do remakes, whereas the guys, that done Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and they've done Streets of Rage, and they're doing I can't remember, but there's two games coming out. I don't think they're the same studio, but one's G.I. Joe, which looks awesome, and the other one is the Toxic Crusaders, Toxic Avenger, and I just can't and it's those old arcade side-scrolling beat-em-ups, which I love. They're just my favorite.
I wasted so many hours on Toxic Avenger, man.
I come from that generation of you go to the arcade, you put in your money, and you play your side-scrolling beat-em-up. The biggest ones when I was younger, it was Ninja Turtles and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. They were the most sought after ones. Remember that? It was a cartoon. I don't think anyone watched the cartoon. I did, purely because of the arcade game.
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
It was one of those like Sunday morning cartoon things. It was around the time when like Jurassic Park first came out and got big. So like every cartoon now had to be about dinosaurs instead of monsters, ninjas, and robots and all. It was when dinosaurs were the flavor of the month thing. But it was a really interesting story and all that, because it's like everyone thinks it's like set in the past, but it's actually kind of more of a post-apocalyptic situation.
Yeah.
Again, side-scrolling beat-em-ups, man, they are quite an epic thing that should make a comeback, because they have a niche market like platformers.
Yeah,
niche market, always great. You can never have too many of them.
You can never go wrong with a good platformer. Can't go wrong with a good beat 'em up side scroller either. I think Power Rangers is getting re-released also. The full Power Rangers collection for years and years. That blew my mind. And TMNT. They're making a what is it? It's the ninja one. The last Ronin TMNT. It's like a really dark, like the Dark Knight Rises TMNT or something video game. I don't know who's working on it, but I hope it's good, because
I do, but I have to stay a bit quiet about it. But yes, absolutely, it is. By the way, this is
Yeah.
I'm not going to open the
I
box.
still haven't read it.
Does it give spoiler? Not really. It's kick ass. But
Does it?
if no, read the book. Read the comic book. It's great.
I really need to read it. Great. Yeah, I really need to read it.
It's not long. It's
and
not
I think they're
long.
Working on a movie or a cartoon. Yeah. Need to read it.
One of my favorite.
I've been watching.
That is literally The Last Ronin, right? There's kids that have grown up throughout many generations.
Isn't it the original creators? Didn't they come back and do it?
Laird and yeah. So what happened was there's been many iterations of the Ninja Turtles. This is my specialty topic, by the way. The Last Ronin is the end of the original comic books or the 90s cartoon, if you want to go that way, even though that was kind of more dumbed down for kids, be more acceptable because it was a little darker and the stuff. But Dude, this Krang is like the, cartoon, the end of it.
Yeah.
It is. Awesome. It's just amazing. Like reading it, it brought a tear to my eyes. Like, wow, this is amazing. And it's really cool because a lot of people don't know this. So I'll say it now because like the trailer has long passed. People have forgotten, and it's long enough before the game's ever going to come out that people won't remember. So I'm going to share with you this. The trailer alone, people got upset. They're like, oh, but that shows nothing. The trailer shows 4 candles, right? And then it cuts to 4 different scenes. Each scene is how one of the turtles died, and then the candles snuffed out. And each one of them snuffed out until there's only one left, and then it shows The Last Ronin. So if you've read the comic book, even before any of that showed up, it just showed that you're like, oh my god, that's amazing. That is like that is the most stylized, incredible. Hope it doesn't end up in dev hell or something bad happens or someone decides to can the studio at this point, because literally any day it's like Russian roulette with game studios. It is absolutely appalling. Yeah. Like anyone could go at any minute. The studio and the way it's all gone, they're all in the toilet at the minute. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. It's crashing. It's crashing around our eyes, and people just I feel if you weren't here at the beginning, you won't be here at the end. You know what I mean?
The terrible thing is a lot of really good, skilled, and talented people are losing their job because a small amount of people were in positions they shouldn't be in, and then ended up helping to tank companies. And once you just begin to tank companies, it starts losing profit. That's a domino effect, which will hit that one and the next one and the next one and start affecting multiple industries and businesses to where we have it now. There's been more layoffs this year in the games industry than there has been in the past like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I was told that it was like dramatic.
Yeah. I feel insane. Games, I understand may take a long time to make, but I also feel you could and without any crunch, you can cut that development time in half if you have people who are just really freaking talented and passionate about what they do.
And games don't need to be 40 hours with 4K textures and all that.
Tell that to every single person who gets mad when a game is $60 and it's only 30 hours long.
I have the best answer to that, actually. I've argued with those people in real life. Do you want to know what my answer was?
It blows my mind, dude.
You know what my answer is? They're like, oh, but that's not acceptable. I need this game. It needs to be 100 hours long. I need to be able to replay it 1,000,000 times. It needs to be multiplayer with all my friends. It needs to be 4K, 120 FPS, or otherwise no one's ever going to play it. It's trash. I'm like, really? Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
Vampire Survivors.
Buy that game for like $3.
Absolutely massive game. You can get it for free on your phone. It's massive. It was originally made by one dude. It's still banging out DLC. It's an incredible game. It's using old Castlevania assets. It's literally a Build-A-Bear video game that a guy made, but it is unbelievably good. It is very well made. So when they argue about that, take a look at the most successful games in the past while. Like, we go to Helldivers. Funny you mentioned Vampire Survivors. I'm playing it right now.
Yeah.
But there you go. Like, Helldivers. No one expected that to blow up the way it did. And this has happened a lot of it because smaller games that give a rewarding aspect, that are fun to play or fun to play with your friends, that actually give you something, we fell down a weird rabbit hole years ago in the mid to late 2000s, I'd say. Everyone needed a game to be like 80 hours, 60, 80 hours.
Yeah.
Most people don't have time for that.
No.
It's such a simple game.
I just beat The Witcher 3 after 7 years, and it took me 100+ hours because I literally did everything.
Yep, like, and you haven't even touched the DLC. He's talking vanilla.
I haven't even touched the DLCs, man. I'm talking vanilla. Yeah. Get this, people. My first playthrough of The Witcher 3, I started in 2018, on and off throughout the years, because I would play it for a long time, get burned out, come back, whatever.
Very easy to do. Yeah.
It took me like 150 something hours, and I did all the side quests. I cannot do any more side quests in the.
I bet you didn't as well. That's the thing. You've missed something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's side quests I've missed out because I did one thing or I didn't do another thing.
You do one thing, you kind of lock yourself out of another because time progresses and things happen and all. So like you can go through that game and technically you can play like 9 different versions of a playthrough. The main story will be the same, but all your side quests change so much. It's nuts.
Yeah. Like what Kingdom Come Deliverance I'm still playing through. I'm on my first playthrough. I started also in 2018.
You might be finished in time for the sequel.
I might be finished in time for the sequel. And I'm 120 hours in. And I don't do fast travel. That's probably why it takes so damn long. I don't really do fast travel. I take my time with the game. I hunt. I did all I try to do side quests, yada, 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 yada. It's like games like that. I understand when people are like, oh, I want it to be 100 hours, because you can get lost in these worlds and just immerse yourself. Like I know people who played Red Dead 2, which I'm also still playing through, that have spent 500 hours and they've hardly touched the main story because it's a simulator. It's almost simulator lifestyle, like living games, right?
I think the one most of my
I love that stuff
for that were Red Dead. I kind of just got lost in Red Dead. They just love playing in that world because it's Grand Theft Auto.
You don't need, but then like vice versa. Like those games are fine, but I don't think every single game needs to be that, because there's a point where, or you have to find not a point. You have to find a really good balance of is this fun to play? Does it get boring after a while or tedious? And is this world something you want to live in for hours of your life?
There's a lot to be said for there's studios building tentpole IPs, which I understand. You've seen it tonight. They announced the new Gears of War E-Day, right? It looks like it's the prequel for the Emergence Day. That's a tentpole franchise because it's Gears of War, right? That will be a fairly certain length, but there's nothing to say that a studio, like when you've got AAA companies, like big publisher companies, and they own multiple studios, you could get the smaller studios to bang out 2 games a year that are just small, compact, fun things to do. You don't need everything to be like a 60, 80, 100-hour RPG, life-changing season battle pass. Not everything needs that. Not everything needs that.
I think content... it's weird, dude. It's so weird that that the price to, I don't know what to call it, price to like playtime, I guess.
Yeah.
People
dollar per hour, as someone put it. Dollar per hour enjoyment.
$60. Let's say minimum wage is $10. Okay. It's not. I mean, here in Vegas it is, but
just for argument, just for the example.
Just for argument. So minimum wage is $10. A game is $60, $70 now. Let's say $70. That's 7 hours of your real life. The game is, let's say, 40 hours long, tops. 40 hours to 100% everything. I'll use Assassin's Creed Mirage as an example. Assassin's Creed Mirage came out last year. The game is roughly 30 to 40 hours long to 100% do everything. Like hunt for all the items, collect all the bull crap, 40 hours, right? It's banger quick, okay? To complete the story is like 15, 20 hours, okay? No big deal. For whatever reason, 7 hours of your life is not enough. $70 is 40 hours to complete everything is not enough for that game. And people want it to be cheaper because they feel 40 hours is too short. But at the exact same time, this is Assassin's Creed, and people are now used to the 100-hour long bloat fests that is Valhalla
They
and the
were
RPG
better
trilogies.
when they were short and to the point, because
but I always point out to them, yeah, exactly. I always point out to them that, what's your favorite Assassin's Creed game? Oh, is it Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Black Flag? Guess how long those games are? Those games are 10 to 15 hours long each. To 100% those games, it's 40 hours or whatever, about the same time as Mirage, right? But they cost $60 or $70 back then, and they cost $60 or $70 now. Well, not so much. Now they're $130, but we won't get into that. That'll be a video on my YouTube channel.
That's a separate argument for a separate video.
Yes. Like, games don't need to, and even then, like, look at the original God of War games. They were 5 hours long. The Prince of Persia: Sands of Time PS2 trilogy, 5 to 6 hours long.
I actually
each game, 10 hours long tops.
I actually completed God of War 3 on a live stream. Like, I done like 2 or 3 days before the remake, the new God of War 4 came out. I actually live streamed and played through the whole thing. It was a reasonable length to play. It was like the kind of game you do it. And again, people are arguing when they bring up the $1 per hour thing. One of their arguments is always, well, I want more bang for my buck. It's like, well, that depends on the game, because Smash Brothers is a fighting game that you could theoretically play for years. Mario Kart.
Yes.
Mario Kart is the perfect example. You can do everything there really is to do with the Mario Kart in a few hours. You can unlock everything. You can get all the courses. You can high rank and everything like that in the game. But that's not what Mario Kart is. Mario Kart's playing with your friends. It's playing online. It's doing that. These are done quick, cheap, and easy. That's what Nintendo is king at, actually, is doing this kind of thing and being invested in it and doing it. Vampire Survivors, theoretically, you've played it for 10 minutes, you get the idea, but you can play it for weeks. And it's got to do with that. So not everything needs to do. If you have a story game, a lot of people have been giving flack recently for Hellblade 2. I don't know why. I think they were imagining something else. If you played Hellblade 1, you knew exactly what Hellblade 2 was going to be. It's a light combat, really good story, walking narrative game. It's an experience. It's an interactive movie. More than it is like video game in traditional sense. But I like that. I love point and click games. I like all these narrative ones, the dark picture anthologies and stuff like that. I like these games. That was a reasonable length. If that game was 40 hours, I never would have finished it. I wouldn't.
No,
it's like it's a bit over 6 hours or something, depending on how long you take to do like certain puzzles and combat bits and stuff like that. But it's about 6 or so hours ish. You know,
I think you really have to think about what type of game it is. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. What genre is it? What kind of game is it? Like, I've been playing Hitman, the Hitman trilogy. Finally, right? It's finally on sale. I picked it up. You get all 3 games in one. But from 2016 to like 2020, they would release them in different parts, 1, 2, and 3, and they were all like 6 or 7. They were just map packs, right? 6 or 7 map packs that, if you did mission by mission, you can complete the whole game or episodes in like 5 hours tops. If you just did it one playthrough each and moved on to the next, okay? But those games are meant to be replayed over and over and over again to like maximize play time, to maximize what you can do in those games. They're simulator games, so you can just screw around and mess with the systems and stuff. But initially, they were $60 for 6 hours, 6 levels. That's it, right? So if you know you were gonna buy that game, play through it once, and never pick it up again, I would argue that you've got your $60 worth if you like the Hitman series. You know, if you are okay with playing a mission and then you're done, you come back to it a little bit later, right? Like, for story-driven games, you know, for narrative-driven adventures or movie-like games or whatever, $60 for 6 hours is fine. It's 6 hours of, it's 1 day of your working life. That's it. Who really cares, you know?
But you see, it's got to do with where you're going, because alongside what you're saying there, you take a look at Warframe.
Yeah.
Again, an idea, free to play. You can play it as much or as little as you like. And it's not required. It's proper free to play, because you never actually need to spend money for that game. But again, it's got to do with, I don't think people are measuring their cost per enjoyment factor. Because one of the other parts is people are shaming people. It's like, oh, well, that game's trash, but I liked it. It's like, oh, yeah, but it's trash. Doesn't matter if you like it. It's like, no, it does. Art is subjective, and this is your enjoyment. If you wanted to buy that game for $60 and you really enjoyed it and you got a lot of time out of that game and you go back and replay it and all like that, that is worth the $60. That is worth what you paid for it to you. You know? Yeah. My favorite one is like, I still haven't got through Tears of the Kingdom, and I've been playing the crap out of that. Like, you know?
Yeah, I think it's weird that like people who complain about narrative games, let's use Hellblade as an example. People who were complaining about Hellblade 2, but I don't know, maybe liked Hellblade 1, but it's the exact same thing. It's like they're short games, they're $60 worth, but they're narrative games. Are you complaining that it's the length, or are you complaining that it's like a sort of narrative story-driven game? Because if you're complaining that it's a narrative game at $60 for 5 hours, are you the same person who goes ahead and plays the Uncharted games, which are essentially narrative games with some action in between? Do you play the Metal Gear games, which are literally just movies with some gameplay in between? You know what I mean? Metal Gear Solid 4, for example, has 5 hours in total of gameplay time. That's it. You want to know what the other 15 hours are? Cutscenes, man.
I was going to give you an example. I'm not going to say who or where or what, but someone was commenting on a recent games announcement show where they were excited about this game and that game, and there was discussions at a round table with a group of people deciding what they liked or didn't like over what had been shown. And one of them said, I really liked X game, but I didn't like the sneaking around that you have to do in it all the time. And my favorite quote came from my son sitting right beside me, turn around, but it's a stealth game though. Like this says it all. Everyone has this weird thing that every game is for them. It's like, oh, but I wanted them to do this in this game and all like that. It's like, this is Mario Kart. Sorry, ma'am, this is Mario Kart. It's like, but I wanted this, that, and the other. It needs romance options and blah, 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 blah. It's like, I'm sorry, sir, this is Elden Ring. Like, it's like,
let me screw the giant tree monster.
like I don't know what. They don't know what they're looking for. They believe everything is for everyone.
You know, that's a thing that's, I believe, I would argue is ruining a lot of video games today, is because the specific type of game that you pay for doesn't necessarily turn out to be the thing that you wanted.
I blame Fortnite because Fortnite is currently everything. They managed to stick every damn thing in the world in that game, including crossovers with
is the kitchen
musicians
sink,
and
is everything but the kitchen sink really fun to play?
No, well, not for me anyway. It obviously has some.
Yeah, exactly. Not for me, but for some. Like I'm playing. People are going to get mad at me for saying this, but I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima since it hit PC finally. Right, I am loving it. I'm on the second island after 60 hours. And again, this is a game that you're supposed to finish in 60 hours, not take 60 hours to get to the second part. But that is labeled, it's supposed to be a stealth game. You're supposed to slowly go from playing a samurai to playing like the first ninja, essentially, right? But as a stealth game, it is absolutely awful. It's the most generic hide in the bushes, stupid enemy guards, like a modern day Assassin's Creed, like AI, stupid stealth games I've ever played. It's awful as a stealth game. It can be occasionally fun, but it's a better samurai simulator where you just do standoffs and fight people because the combat is so good. You know, they managed to make a failed stealth game, to me anyway, but a perfect samurai simulator game with amazing combat.
I haven't actually played
a weird balance of, you have to have a good combat system because you're a samurai, but it's supposed to be a stealth game. But I definitely think they compromised on the stealth elements because they know that they had a bad stealth system, I think. And when you get into combat, you're okay with it because the combat is just freaking awesome.
You want
some of the best combat I've played in a game in a year. You want
I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, but anyone I know in real life or that I've talked to even online loves it. that played it absolutely loves it. I see a lot of hate
Oh
for
yeah,
it
I
online,
love it.
but
I love
anyone
it already,
I know
but I
that
think
bought
it's
it and
just
played it
off a
actually
stealth
really
system.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed it. The stealth system, I have no idea, because one of my friends that I know that ran through all of it, stealth wasn't an option. He's a charge in with sword over there, kind of guy. It's not going to happen. So I don't even think he knows there's stealth in the game.
Like, I think I'm personally spoiled with my stealth game thing because I grew up playing like Thief and Tenchu and stuff like that back in the day. So those are my gold standards.
Remake
like
Tenchu. Do another Tenchu.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's what blows my mind. Ghost of Tsushima, and I haven't played Sekiro, but I guess you can kind of stealthily play Sekiro.
I have played Sekiro. You can kind of stealth, but it's not the same kind of stealth.
Yeah,
it's a different
Ghost of Tsushima would be the perfect Tenchu video game if you made combat more of a risk and actually somehow got a good stealth system. I don't know, dude. Like Splinter Cell, the original Tenchus, I would argue, and Thief, the old Thief games where you actually have to use the shadows to hide in, are like the best stealth systems ever, right? So why in modern gaming, with all the technology we have, no one can manage to take all of those things, blend them into one game, and make the perfect stealth video game is beyond my understanding.
Because all stealth now is just essentially copying Arkham. They forgot about every other game and they just copy Arkham.
Yeah, Arkham. Yeah. Like, I'm
Don't
so
get me
sick
wrong.
of hiding
Love Arkham, but like
with Whisper.
Love Arkham, but it's Arkham. Let the Arkham Asylum games be themselves. They're there. They're done. They're a part of history. Do your own thing. Do something else. Because there's been like a few that I've played, but I just lose. I can't stand the idea of it. I lose the will to want to play it because they all boil down to feeling like Ocarina of Time with the forest stealth section when you were a kid as the guards, and you have to break into Hyrule Castle and you have to sneak around the bushes. They all end up feeling like that. And I'm like, nope, I'm out. Nope, can't stand it.
Yeah.
The whole thing is like waiting for the vision cones to turn around to see if you're in line of sight or not. And if they're bad, of course, the vision cones break corners or something like that, and it's borked. And then I just can't play the game. You know? Yeah. But again, that's where I know they're not for me. The same way as when people are like, oh, but these games need to appeal to me. I can't stand soccer. I know. I live in Europe and I hate soccer. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
That's weird.
I just don't play FIFA games. It's simple. They're not for me. I just don't play.
The last FIFA game I played was for like PlayStation 1. It was like FIFA 2, I think.
The last soccer game I ever played was on the Super Nintendo, and it was at a friend's house. That's how long ago it was since I've done it, because I've no interest in it. But again, instead of demanding that they change soccer games to be more like what I want or to be more interesting to me, I just don't play them. Simple.
Yeah. You know what I do want, though? I would really love a return of... Do you remember those basketball games where like they were really wacky?
NBA Street. NBA Jam.
NBA Street? Yeah. NBA Street and Rated Rumble. I want those to make a comeback. I want the goofy, cartoony sort of sports
the weird where it was
the
2-on-2. It was the 2-on-2.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't, I don't know whether it was NBA Street, but it was one of those ones that's like NBA Jam and stuff where it was just 2 versus 2. So it's not like proper basketball, but it's basketball. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know
it's goofy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I want like wacky racing games to come back, like Mad Dash Racing and stuff like that. Like, give me Twisted Metal. You know, we were about to get a new Twisted Metal game and they canceled it, and it was going to be a live service piece of garbage. Yeah, like, dude,
I am so angry.
Twisted Metal.
That's essentially just Overwatch. It's new, different, extreme Overwatch, right?
You canceled.
They canceled
2.
They canceled Twisted Metal. For that, I love Twisted Metal. That was my like gateway PlayStation 1 game. That's right.
Where do you think my name comes from, man?
Exactly. This is the whole thing. Right. And then like, why? Because I know I could guarantee you they were going to try tie it into the TV show, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't hate, but I don't love it either.
I watched the first 2 episodes and then I gave up.
It's interesting. You just try to forget that it's related to Twisted Metal and just enjoy it for what it is, because it's a good show. It just has very little to do with Twisted Metal. But anyway, that aside, I know they were going to try tie it into that, which would have been cool and interesting, because the whole premise of the show is car battles, battle on the road. So like this would have been awesome. Imagine like the last two Grand Theft Auto, or just the last one, because it's been like 15 years, Grand Theft Auto game. Look what they can do with that. Imagine what we could have had with Twisted Metal. It's such a crime. But no, we're not getting any of that. You know, we have to have another hero arena shooter. You know, it's painful. It's actually painful.
It's very painful. And like, see, it's not even about, you know, an arena shooter. Is it fun? Like, look at Helldivers 2. To wrap this up really quickly, look at Helldivers 2. It's a live service game. It's, you know, typical asymmetrical gameplay. The concept, though, is what everybody jumped on, right? I definitely, if the concept wasn't you killing bugs and Terminators, and it was something else, I don't think. Oh, and it embraced the satirical nature of itself. Yes. I don't think people would jump onto it, and it would be dead in the water in a couple of months. You know, Skull and Bones is a great example. Skull and Bones had the perfect, coolest, like it had the perfect opportunity to be the coolest like pirate ship fighting simulator ever, and then just like it's been done before. We've had Sea of Thieves forever now. We've had
I love Yahtzee's review, by the way.
I forget. There's a steampunk one where it's boats in air, but I forgot the name of it. But I love it.
Yahtzee from Second Wind done a review of Skull and Bones. I love the way he went through the whole thing, and then at the very end, if you want to play a pirate game, just go play Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, like dude, it's like too little, too late, and that's to get back on my original thought of games take too damn long to make. That's what brought us here, I guess, is they really don't. You just have to manage your time well. And I don't think you need 1,500 employees. To go back to Ghost of Tsushima real quick, Ghost of Tsushima was made by 160 people. The new Hitman games were made by like 200 plus people. The new Assassin's Creed that's coming out is 5 different studios, 1,500 employees. And apparently they started development of it in 2013.
Now,
according to one of the X-Narrative developers of that.
Let me add something onto that. Let me add something onto that. Keep all those numbers fresh in your mind and add the fact that right now, games companies will match or exceed the production budget of a game on the marketing budget, right? 1,500 employees developing a game. Now, the marketing budget will need to match that because they'll need to have it plastered on every bus and dog's backside in the friggin' planet. How much money and copies does that game need to sell to even break even? It's almost guaranteed to fail just by its definition of existence. Even if everyone rushed out and bought it, there isn't enough gamers to sustain that kind of bloat.
No. Not at all.
And Vampire Survivors was one person. Yes, Nick. Vampire Survivors was
Vampire Survivors, dude. Best game ever. End of story. That's it for this episode. No, but one dude. Stardew Valley is also a legendary story, but that's another story for another time. With all of that said, sorry for the ramble tangent. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, everybody. It was long overdue. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter at Deadhaus Whispers, YouTube at Deadhaus Whispers. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Comment for engagement because we also care about your views and your opinions.
We need to fight the AI. We need to fight the algorithm.
Yes.
We need to defeat the algorithm.
Also, check everything Deadhaus Sonata. Check out everything Deadhaus Sonata related at deadhaussonata.com. And I've been Calypso, and we will see you in the next one, whenever that is. And Faceless. See you guys.
Thank you. Much appreciation from us, yes.
for listening to Deadhaus Whispers.
Ah, yes. Thank you for listening to Deadhaus Whispers with Faceless Mike and Calypso. They're lovely people. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll find you.
Hello, fellow fans of Deadhaus. Follow Deadhaus Whispers, or else.
From the creator of Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness, Deadhaus Sonata is a narrative-driven action RPG in which you take the role of the undead and fight against the living. Visit us at www.deadhaussonata.com for updates on development. That's Deadhaus Sonata.com.